the channel. This has been quite the week. Pluto is definitely out of bounds. It's definitely out of bounds. Just the chaos, the turmoil, the division on social media right now is devastating, terrifying. Oh, if you saw my Charlie Kirk video, then you already know where I stand. Um, yeah, this week's been crazy. It's I don't know. Someone messaged me that I said this week was going to be quiet, and I don't know where I said that or what I said that in reference to. I forget what I say in my updates, and I don't watch them back generally. Um, so it really helps when y'all reach out about them, what happened or what didn't happen, because I don't know. I forget. I create so much content, I don't have enough room in my head to remember it. But this week definitely wasn't quiet, especially on the internet. I talked about this in my recent TikTok update because I do a TikTok video every week with the transits of the week ahead, using my astrology board. So if you want a visual of the planets and what signs they're in and what they're going to be doing this week and every week, I do that on my TikTok. It gets reposted here after a couple days, and it gets reposted to my Instagram. Goes to TikTok and Instagram both on Sunday, and then I also have it linked in the description of this video. On in my newsletter is where I write out, I transcribe that video, and give a day by day play, a day to day play by play of the transits of the week ahead, what's going to be going on in written form. So if you're a written person or you want to read it or have it to reference, sign up for my newsletters, because that gets sent out usually every Sunday evening. I'm late, quote unquote, to this today because I've just had so much going on. This week has been incredibly chaotic for me as well. There's been a whole purge of, I'm not surprised by it. There's been a whole purge of people in my life, mostly on social media so far. The eclipse was in my sixth house of hidden enemies of work. It's really no surprise. I work on social media. The internet is my kind of livelihood and my income. So it's no surprise to me that recent events and my decision to speak out on them has resulted in this. It needed to happen. I'm grateful. I'm so, so, so grateful it happened. I feel so much more grounded in my truth. I feel so much more grounded in what I'm sharing and what I'm passionate about sharing and talking about. I feel like it's created a greater, so funny, I want to say it's created greater speaking abilities in me. I can't even get that out. But Mercury Kazemi has been creating some crazy things with speech and communication in terms of just a slower brain, a slower thought to spoken word process. I've noticed this too in my interactions with people where I am in Montana. It's just like I was at Ulta and someone asked me if I wanted my receipt. And she meant, do you want to leave a tip? Because I got my brows done. And she was like, do you want your receipt? And I was like, what? She's like, oh, no, I meant to say, do you want it to leave a tip? I don't know why I said that. I was like, girl, I've been doing that all week. Like, if you only knew the astrology right now, you'd understand that that's just bound to happen. Um, so that's the thing. But I do feel like I just feel like this weight lifted off my shoulders because I've been hiding my opinion for so long on certain things. And this whole tragedy, I just can't do it anymore. I just can't do it. I have to speak up for what I believe in, and it was literally creating like throat chakra issues. I don't have those anymore. It was creating financial issues. I don't have those anymore. It was creating so many issues in my life. I don't have those anymore. It's wild. It's wild what can happen when you just speak for what you believe in and when you just speak your truth and you don't care how people take it. Not that I don't fully care. I mean, we're always going to care. We're human beings. I'm a Libra Rising. I care. But I'm tired of that letting suppressing me. I'm tired of that suppressing me. I'm tired of me letting that suppress me. So yeah, no more of that. And I feel so much more grounded in like what I'm saying and how I'm saying it. And who is here with me watching it and consuming it. Like, I really, if you stuck with me through this whole thing, like, I really appreciate you and I really love you, and I just feel such gratitude for my platform and for my audience and for you all that watch me. I just feel so grateful because I know you really are here for an aligned reason. I don't know how I want to describe that, but I just feel like you know, y'all are real ones. Y'all are real ones. So I appreciate you. Uh, it really means a lot. All your positive DMs, positive comments really mean a lot because I said this on my Instagram stories earlier. My comments are like World War III right now. It's really hard to not get sucked into them. And it's really hard to keep my humanity. It's really hard to keep my compassion in them because people are just being so ruthless and awful and mean, um, for what I deem like no reason. But I understand. I understand it's not easy to look at things that are uncomfortable. I understand cognitive dissonance is real. Um, so yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but the Great Purge is happening for me, and it's happening for all of us in ways that we really need, in ways that maybe we've been avoiding. Again, I was really suppressing myself from speaking up on certain things, for fear of backlash, but that's never really the way to go through life. And I think someone commented this or messaged this. I don't know. They're all kind of blurring together at this point. I've just been so chronically online, like defending myself and unnecessarily. But I have guilt motivation and human design, so I'm kind of meant to like speak up. I'm kind of meant to be the, you know, the problem solver, so to speak. I'm kind of meant to like speak my truth and be like, no, this is actually how it is. Like, um, so I'm really meant to like, you know, my motivation is guilt and human design. I'm meant to like do. I'm meant to solve. I'm meant to act. And I think I didn't realize it, but in this small minute way, I was still kind of in my transference, which is hope of like, oh, well, if I don't, you know, if I just hold back on this, like people will get it, or people, you know, conditioning and refute like misalignment conditioning really can show up in so many subtle ways, and I just feel like it's all being purged out of me right now as everything that's in Virgo is moving through my 12th house. It's just this whole purge. And Virgo is a sign of refinement. It is a sign of cleansing, of purity. So this is happening as well on a collective level. I had someone message me or comment something about a witch wound as well, and I completely resonate with that. I think that's what kind of held me back from speaking my truth on these certain things that I have strong opinions about, for fear of being persecuted, for fear of, again, like backlash. Because you know the witch wound, if you're not familiar with it, is very common in intuitives. It's very common in spiritual people, especially women. Um, the witch wound is fearing sharing your gifts. It can show up in a lot of ways. Um, I've seen it show up as people are scared to do their tarot readings. I've seen it as people are scared to speak their truth, right? It's really what it is in essence, is a fear of persecution or a fear of backlash, for sharing your gifts, for sharing your truth, for sharing what you do, for sharing who you are, for sharing your magic. But we no longer live in a world, well, I don't even know if I can say that anymore because of what happened. I would hope that we, you know, live in a world where we are free to share our gifts and we are free to share our opinions, and we're not going to be burned at the stake for them. I mean, that's currently the reality for most of us, thankfully. But that's what the witch wound is, because a lot of us have, you know, died in in our past lives as witches who got burned at the stake. Whether or not we are a witch isn't relevant. A lot of us were accused of it and killed because of it, and so that wound runs deep. And the witch trials I learned recently went on for 200 years. So a lot of us have that. And right now is about breaking free from it, breaking free from the ways we've hidden our opinions and our thoughts and our beliefs. Mercury Kazemi on the South Node. We can no longer keep going through life with the same mental process or pattern that we have been, or perspective on life. Uranus trine Pluto as well, which is loosening up now, but it has really been peaking this past week, which I think is what contributed to all the chaos. This week, it looks kind of like more of that. It looks like, again, we really just have to focus on the real world. A lot of us are going to be removing ourselves from social media. The moon is also out of bounds right now with Pluto. So there's just a lot of chaotic energy. There's just a lot of intensity around some sort of transformation that we're in. And really, there's something that needs to be, again, let go of before we move into the new chapter. And that new chapter is starting this upcoming weekend with the eclipse we have in Virgo. So for a summary this week, we're going to have Venus move into Virgo. The same time the moon moves into Virgo, both are going to square Uranus and Gemini, while Mercury moves into Libra, harmonizes with Pluto and Uranus. And Mars is going to get really close to moving into Scorpio. I don't think it is this week. From what I saw, it might be moving into Scorpio on Sunday if it does move into Scorpio this week. We also have a square between Jupiter and Chiron. We have Mars opposing Chiron right now too. We have Neptune getting pretty close to going back into Pisces, and this eclipse that we have on Sunday, the 21st, is going to be opposite Saturn, which what I'm getting from that is we are really realizing how disciplined and committed we have to be to our spiritual practices, whether that's going to church, whether that's meditating, whether that's going out into nature, talking to trees, whatever spiritual means to you, we really have to be committed and disciplined with those practices, because otherwise we're going to lose our minds, figuratively and literally. We're really cultivating through that discipline spiritual fitness, because we're going to need it moving forward. I was looking ahead. If you saw my YouTube live from the other day I did on Charlie Kirk, I was looking ahead at 2026 and 2027, and it gave me a very sobering idea of the next couple years. I know people have been talking about this, but I don't really follow the astrology community. I don't really follow what other people say about astrology, so I hadn't looked into it for myself just yet, and I did on that live, and it was very sobering. It was very sobering. There's going to be a lot of change. There's going to be a lot of, quote unquote, bad things that happen. And we really have to be spiritually fit to make it through those things. We really have to have our community, our practices, grounding things that help us to stay sane. And mindfulness too. We have to really continue to focus on the positive. I talked about this. This was the horoscope for almost every sign last week. Was there's going to be challenges, there's going to be conflict, but we have to focus on the positive. I spilled chai latte on my laptop, and I'm so heartbroken about it. I'm really trying not to crumble and stress out about it, because my laptop is my livelihood. I took it to get cleaned, and they're like, yeah, it's probably gonna have to get, like, everything's gonna have to be replaced in it. But they're like, there's nothing we can do right now. We just have to wait it out and see what happens. So, yeah. But my point with that is that the people at the repair shop were so helpful, so kind, really just doing me a solid and really helping me out. And everyone I've been meeting in real life has really been just like an angel and showing me the good in humanity, because going online right now makes me feel like we don't have any. Makes me feel like people are just crazy. People are just out of their wits. Insane. And so again, we really have to, I think too, we're going to start to be removing ourselves from social media a lot and for a lot of us, and getting back to the real world, or at least spending more time with community online if we are online. So that's what I see. Um, I mean, this week starts off with the moon in Cancer, so people arguably are going to be more emotional and more aggressive these first couple days of the week. But again, if you have your practices and you have things that ground you, you have things that help you to just not get sucked into the chaos, you will make it through. Um, with your wits intact. And for me, I'm really wanting to spend more time in the real world and in my inner circle membership, because that's where I want to create like true community is my membership. And in the real world too, I just don't know where I'm going to be living. Um, but I'm really loving the interactions I'm having with people in the real world. It's really just inspiring me to keep going. So, yeah. Um, hey, Shadows and Secrets. Happy Sunday. I have had quite a day. I'm tired, but I'm good. Hello, Masha. Het is het een bel après-midi. Some see a kind of power in me. I agree, we lack community, yeah. I think we just lack like something to believe in. Um, I think a lot of us really lack a lot of things. Our society is really broken, especially in America. Our culture is broken. Which I think is gonna create is why people are turning to religion again. Because our culture is just broken. The way we teach our kids is broken, the way we raise our kids is broken, the way we relate to one another is broken. Um, and I had an ex who would always talk about this kind of stuff. He was an Aquarius rising and super intuitive. And he would always talk about this kind of stuff. And I didn't really fully understand. I'm gonna start crying what he was saying. But now I understand. I understand. And yeah, there probably is gonna be a civil war. There probably is gonna be World War III. And we'll be okay. We have been in all the other wars. But yeah, seeing what I'm seeing on the internet, there's no way it doesn't happen. So, anyways, um, we need something to fight for again. And war will give us that, unfortunately. Okay. On that note, um, oh wait, Sandrine says, "Hi Kelsey, I'm French but have been living in California." Oh God, I'm so sorry. I'm ready for anything and we'll finally relocate soon in the US. France is gone. Yep, yep. I love France. Um, I was thinking about relocating there, but I mean, I kind of did. I lived there for 4 months, but I love the US. I love what we have here. Um, I love our land. I love Montana. I really love Montana. I really think I'm gonna end up here, guys. I don't know. Clarity hasn't come for me yet on where I'm gonna be living next, but I do really, really, really love it up here. The people are just so authentic, so down to earth. It reminds me a lot of France. People are just they just are who they are. There's no fake niceness to people really. Um, they're direct, they're straightforward, they're authentic, they're kind, but they don't have that fake niceness that especially California has. Um, so yeah, that's where I'm at. I don't know. I don't know. Everything's unknown. This always happens when Uranus changes signs. I'll do a separate YouTube video on this eventually. Um, I need to train myself to stop reading comments on my posts because I just get sucked in. But I want to do a video on Uranus, its own video on Uranus because every time Uranus changes signs, there's a big, massive upheaval because Uranus rules 7-year cycles and it rules change. It rules the unknown. Change is chaotic, so Uranus is chaotic. And every time it changes signs, there's a kind of transition because it always goes back into the sign that it was just in. Uranus is going to go back into Taurus, I believe, in November. We're going to have a revisitation, and then it's going to move forward again back into Gemini, where it will be for 7 years. And there's always this just big, massive upheaval while we transition into that new cycle. So this happened back in 2019. And here we are, and it's happening again. But the unknown is beautiful because it's where we can really create what we want. We can really create what we want. Florida or Colorado, which is on its way to fall. Yeah, I lived in Colorado for 11 years. Feel free to message me, Sandrine, about it if you want. I Colorado, I thought it was where I was going to raise my children. I thought it was where I was going to live forever. But I don't know. Uh, it's changed. And I don't love the way it's changing. But it is a great place. There's a lot of fondness in my heart for Colorado. Also kind of depends on where. The whole state's. I wouldn't recommend the Front Range or Denver. But okay. I fear I will just chat with y'all forever if I don't get into these horoscopes. So let's start the horoscopes. Also, for those of you that are in my Inner Circle membership community or want to join, our next group call is Tuesday. I do it every week. I do one on Tuesday that is supportive for people in the European time zone because it's an afternoon for me, which is like evening for y'all. And then I do, so every week it switches, but once you're in the membership, you'll see it in the upcoming events space when the group calls are, and it's like a Zoom, but it's on my own platform. It's not Zoom. And we it's an open Q&A. We talk about astrology. We talk about all kinds of things. So if you love my lives, that's the best place to just connect with me live in a more intimate space. Okay, Aries Rising. The moon's gonna be moving through your 4th house at the start of the week, so this could give you more clarity on your home, your family. There might be a lot that comes up around that emotionally that you're realizing you have to like create space for to purge. There could be something really healing as well that clicks into place for you around a creative passion, project, pursuit, maybe related to your identity in some way. But it could threaten or add tension to your relationships or vice versa, or maybe trigger some kind of healing in you around your identity, like somebody in your life kind of triggers that in you, is what I mean. Um, on Tuesday, that can be further amplified, maybe through your home or through your family, as we're going to have a T-square between the moon, Mars, and Chiron. The release of that is through your career. So there might be something that triggers you that you realize like, oh, I need to help people with this, or I could teach about this, or Maybe you're putting your energy and your focus into fixing or grounding or structuring your career differently or something like that, because there's just maybe there's so much chaos in your relationships and at home that you're like, I need to like throw myself into work, that kind of thing. Also, we're going to have Mercury opposite Saturn in your 6th and 12th houses. This might be a kind of, needing to make a mental reframe again. It's really, I've been saying, have your spiritual practices, because if you don't, you're going to go insane. Um, as we get into Wednesday, the moon moves into Leo in your 5th house. There could be this emotional focus on a creative project. There could also be some sort of transformation early Wednesday with your community or with social media, um, maybe around some sort of creative passion that you're embarking on or you're creating or you need community to help you with or something like that. Um, and then as we get into Thursday, Mercury has moved into Libra into your 7th house. You might be feeling a lot more like having conversations with people. You might be feeling more social as well. Like I've been saying, you might be feeling called to take a social media break or just spend less time there and really put more energy into the real world, in whatever ways. There could also be some wrapping up of a creative passion or project that you realize you need to like do or focus on as the moon moves over Venus, and harmonizes with Chiron, also harmonizing with Mars. So there could be somebody in your life that's kind of giving you the momentum to finish this project or whatever it is, or get serious about it. As we head into Friday, Venus moves into Virgo with the moon. They both challenge Chiron in your 3rd house. This could be quite a chaotic day. It could almost feel like if there's stuff you need to get, like it's almost just feeling like you're being pulled in many, many directions. Like there's stuff that you need to get done, but there's other stuff you're being pulled to do, and it's kind of like you're struggling to prioritize. Um, it's almost like you need to, it sounds so counterintuitive, but it's like you need to meditate on what to do. Or if you really follow your human design, you need to really stick to following your authority on Friday, because otherwise you're just going to be a tornado. Things are just going to be kind of a mess. If you're not really listening to your intuition and you're letting things, like you're letting the mind kind of run things, that's what this energy is. But there is harmony between like your work and your community and your errands or your communication as well, like where you're going on a daily basis. So maybe there's somebody that comes into your life that kind of helps you ground or helps you structure things better so that you manage your priorities better in a way that just feels like you have a grip on it instead of it just all kind of spinning out of control. On Saturday, there could be some sort of emotional release around work, or maybe you're releasing something you do for work, or a habit you have that maybe wasn't super helpful for you that you're realizing you have to let go of in order to take better care of your health. Could also be the theme of the new moon eclipse in Virgo we have on Sunday, as that will be opposite Saturn in your 12th, and will be in your 6th of health, of routine, of day-to-day work. So it's really, this new moon eclipse is really a big focus of setting intentions around, okay, how do I want to take better care of my health? What habits do I need? What systems do I need? How can I structure those to have in my life to benefit my physical and mental health? All right, that's the week ahead for you, Aries. Let me know how it resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. All right, Taurus Rising. We start the week off with the moon in your 3rd house. I'd really watch out for like pick your emotional battles, because it feels like your emotions will be really heightened, especially as how you speak. But there could also be things you're realizing you need to just maybe like change your self-talk in order to be more gentle with yourself, to take care of yourself better, or have better practices. Or I feel like Taurus, it's been about asking for help for you the last few weeks. It's like, that may be your kind of focus at the beginning of the week. Um, there could be a lot that triggers you, especially on Tuesday, maybe in your work or your day-to-day stuff, or maybe it's just kind of like this mindset trigger that comes up, this subconscious wound that kind of rears its head, for you to really let go of. But I do feel like it could catalyze a perspective shift in you, and you really just start to see things differently, and you really start to like take action on the things that maybe you had been neglecting to change or do about your life. Um, Also on Tuesday, we have Mercury opposite Saturn in your 11th. So there's a big focus as well with Virgo season in general and these eclipses. What are you creating? Like what are you putting out into the world? Um, where is your passion going? What are you spending time doing? Because it feels like there's a lot of focus on that and a need to kind of be disciplined with sharing it with your community on social media, wherever it is. Um, and that's gonna really be brought up with the new moon eclipse we have on Sunday as well for you, Taurus. There could be, a lot of support coming in through your friends, through your maybe neighbors, through your family within your home. There's a lot of support earlier in the week, to do things you need to do and to have that nurturance as well from other people. And maybe that will teach you something about how to give it to yourself as well more often than you maybe have. Um, Wednesday, moon moves into Virgo. I'm sorry, moon moves into Leo. In your fourth house, the focus is on your home, on your family. There might be this need to change up your home in order to help your career, or you might just get a realization about things you want to change in your career due to something that happens in your home, something like that. It's like kind of like this balancing act early on Wednesday between your fourth house and your 10th house. Um, then as we get into Thursday, Mercury moves into Libra. This is a great time as Mercury is moving through your sixth house to really be sharing your ideas around work, around health, maybe even relationship stuff as well. But things could feel spacey too on Thursday because the Mercury is going to be opposite Neptune. Um, we're also going to have the moon on Venus in your fourth house, harmonizing with Chiron. So this could be, again, more just healing of subconscious wounds, maybe from family, from your childhood, things like that. And it also feels like there's some need to bring it into your career in some way or to talk about it in your career, or there's a lot of harmony between what you're doing for work, how you're sharing that and your ideas there, your public reputation changing, going through a transformation, and also your money having a transformation as well due to all of that. It's like it's all very supported at this time. As we get into the weekend, Friday, Moon moves into Virgo, Venus moves into Virgo. Both are going to challenge Uranus in your second house. So there could be some chaotic things between money and romance, dating, or what you're doing for creative projects that I was speaking to. The sun's going to be opposite Saturn. That's also where we're going to have the new moon eclipse on Sunday. So again, what do you need to be disciplined with as it relates to like maybe your long-term goals or visions, um, as well as like how you're showing up within your community or with the people that you think of as community or social media? Like, what are the ways you need to like maybe you've been fighting with with discipline or with commitment there, going back and forth, and this weekend is going to be like, nope, we're doing this and we're doing it now. That's the major theme of the new moon eclipse we have on Sunday for you. um Setting intentions with what do I need to get serious about as it relates to this new chapter I'm heading into, because that seed you're planting is going to grow over the next 6 months. So that's the week ahead for you, Taurus. Let me know how it resonates, and I'll see you next week. All right, Gemini Rising, big focus at the start of the week on your money, maybe getting a new job or putting, feelers out there for a new job, but feels like it could come at a challenge to your romance, your dating, or maybe your creative ventures. Um, but it does feel like there's something that could come through Tuesday around all of that. The time is 11:11 also that on this that I have pulled up. Um, so it's almost like don't focus too much on the challenges because there is harmony coming through all of it. Wednesday, the moon moves through your third house. I feel like you'll be more expressive, more wanting to share yourself, share your ideas, share things that really excite you, that feel joyful to you. But there could also be some tension early on Wednesday between that and your perspective. Like you need to shift how you view things, or you just really need to, like, maybe you've been in your head about what you've been doing in your career or what you've been changing, and there just needs to be a release of reliance on the mind about it, and you just need to act. You just need to literally do what's fun. That could further come up on Thursday as the moon moves over Venus in Leo before Venus moves into Virgo. Mercury is in Libra now in your fifth house. There could be some fogginess mentally or around your creative stuff, um, but that's only going to last a couple days. Again, it's really like stop. I feel like when anything is happening with Mercury and Neptune, it's almost like stop relying on the mind. Like the mind is your servant, not your master. That's this energy. On Friday, the moon moves into Virgo as Venus does, and they both challenge Uranus in your first house. There could be some big challenge that happens within your home that kind of challenges your identity or directly adds conflict to your identity. Something like that. It could be some challenge around a move as well, but I do think you're going to get answers around that as we get closer to the eclipse that we have on Sunday. On Saturday, there could be some big emotional release within your home or within family, real estate. Maybe you've been wanting to buy a home or move, and there's some sort of like, okay, well, have to release this kind of expectation or something around it. And then I think with this eclipse, you'll get clarity and have more answers on how to move forward and be setting those intentions and planting those seeds that will bloom, grow and bloom over the next 6 months. So that's what we have for you, Gemini. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. All right, Cancer Rising, we start the week off with the moon in your first house. This is kind of the energy of an emotional renewal. You might be feeling more emotionally sensitive too, like needing to kind of hermit yourself or step away from the spotlight, or just kind of maybe be emotionally kind of removed from the outside world to focus on your inner emotions, your inner world. As we get further into the week, Tuesday and Wednesday, you might get more clarity over your inner emotional world if that has felt like things have felt off or things have felt not clear to you. You might receive that clarity Tuesday into Wednesday. Really on Tuesday actually, because then into Wednesday, the moon moves into your second house opposite Pluto in your eighth. There could be some clarity or revelation around money, maybe, but it does feel like there's this kind of push and pull energy between a transformation you want to make and resources, and like some emotional, something emotionally that's happening with your money. But I do feel like this kept coming up for you, Cancer. Is like, what new thing are y'all doing? Like, what are y'all doing that's new? That's different. Because I feel like there's gonna be I feel like there's gonna be things that pop off about it that you didn't expect. This is almost like if you just started an Etsy store for your crafts or whatever, and you didn't think anything of it, and then one day you wake up and it's just like, oh my God, I have like 10 orders. It's kind of that energy is what I'm getting. Um, which is very specific, so it might not be for everybody, but that's the energy of it, is like something unexpected that you just did for fun is going to have some positive result that you didn't expect. So as we get into Thursday, the Mercury is moving into your fourth house into Libra. Venus is soon going to be, I believe that happens Friday, moving into Virgo in your third house. So there's kind of these shifts of where your mind is, where your communication is. This Mercury Kazemi might have really fucked stuff up for you. Did I say that right? Fuck stuff up. Y'all know what I'm saying. Uh, because it's in your third house of communication and of your day-to-day errands. So you might have really had to be careful with driving. You might have had to get stuff done to your car that you didn't expect. You might have really had to like slow down your words because it's just like anyway, there's just chaos with that. But I think as Mercury moves into Libra, that's going to lessen a little bit. And then Mercury will trine Uranus and Pluto in your 8th and 12th. So there's going to be this big shift in your inner world. that really has you feeling more confident, you feeling more secure in yourself, and more like yourself, I feel like. As we get into Friday, the moon moves over Venus, in your second house again. It feels like there's just kind of this unexpected thing with money. This emotional tie to joy is bringing in more money for you in some way. It could heal your public reputation or your image, or any wounds or triggers around maybe getting paid for what you like to do. That's just fun for you. As we get into the weekend, Venus moves into Virgo, the moon moves into Virgo. Both are going to challenge Uranus in your 12th house. This could be more kind of like chaos in your day to day, but also like internal chaos. And you're really learning how to kind of manage that better, like maybe through breathing techniques or something. Um, Also, this new moon eclipse is going to be in your third house. So it's kind of like what has all of this shown you that you need to release about your communication style or your daily habits or routines, and what intentions do you want to set there? That, what has been purged? What do you want to bring in now? So that's kind of the energy, big energy for this eclipse for you. And there's some need to, I've been saying this for everybody, but big need to be disciplined, committed to your spiritual practices, um, as well, because it's going to help with how you view life, and that in turn is going to help with everything that happens around you. So that's your week ahead, Cancer. Let me know how that resonates. I'll see you next week. I'm turning off this light. I can't do it, y'all. I have indirect determination. I need to be in the dark. All right, Leo Rising. We start the week off with the moon in your 12th house. Um, whenever the moon's in my 12th house, I just don't feel good. I feel like I'm super in hermit mode, and since yours is Cancer, I mean that's just kind of like expected. So you could really be, for whatever reason, in hermit mode earlier in the week. But it's like this inner cleanse, this inner world cleanse, or this realization about your inner world or subconscious things that maybe you didn't realize were affecting you so much, and you're realizing like, oh, I really need to like look at what's going on, whether it's with therapy or meditation. There's some dive into your psyche that is going to happen and needs to happen early in the week. Mercury Kazemi in your second house might have given you more clarity about financial stuff, and that's just going to kind of build all week as we gear up for the new moon eclipse that's happening in your second house. But not to get too ahead of ourselves. On Tuesday, Mars is going to be opposite Chiron in your ninth. There could be some wound around your belief systems that comes up, maybe even like your spiritual things related to what's going on in your subconscious. On Tuesday, also the moon's on Jupiter in your 12th house. There's kind of this illumination emotionally of what's going on in your inner world and kind of what to do about it. It feels like, again, this kind of inner shift around value, around worthiness, stuff like that. Could come through somebody in your life that's helping you with that transformation or that sense of empowerment that's building within you. But there could also be tension because of that. As on Wednesday, the moon's going to be opposite Pluto in your seventh, but there is this opportunity as well on Wednesday for emotional renewal. Um, as much as there might be like tension, it kind of creates that emotional renewal. On Thursday, we have Mercury moving into Libra in your third house. I feel like you're going to be, if you've been feeling a little aggressive with your communication or just kind of feeling like you want to pick fights or people have been picking fights with you, there might be this reprieve of that, as Mars is about to leave Libra. And as Mercury goes into Libra, there might be this need to like sort of approach conversation differently or approach just where you're going and who you're talking to on a daily basis differently. And maybe whatever happened with the Mercury Kazemi, we've had that this past week, showed you that or gave you clarity around that. Also, as Mercury moves into Libra, it's going to harmonize with Pluto in your seventh and Uranus in your 11th. So there could be, again, a lot of support through other people right now for you. Maybe you're returning to somewhere you feel like you really belong because you have people to support you and you have community. On Friday, the moon moves over Venus in your first house. Again, this is this energy of like emotional renewal around your values, your sense of worthiness, your maybe even sense of relationships and money as well. This new moon eclipse for you, Leo, that we have on Sunday is going to be about your finances. So, what new beginnings are you setting there? Maybe it's a job change, or maybe it's just changing your mindset around money, and thus it's showing up differently. I've had so many crazy experiences lately that have shown me I am where I'm meant to be. Like just people giving me free stuff or giving me discounts, or like I feel like this is kind of that energy. It's like once you shift something in your mindset, it shifts your experience with reality, and you just start to see that you are supported by money, you are supported by just period. Like you are supported no matter what. But on Friday, Venus and the moon are going to challenge Uranus in your 11th. So there could be some chaotic stuff emotionally that happens too with your finances that maybe, again, squares and astrology create evolution. So there could be something frustrating that really propels you into a change, propels you into a mindset shift around all of that I was just speaking to. And then that's where the new moon eclipse is going to be for you, is in your area of money. So it's setting intentions around what you want to call in there, as there's been a purge. What do you need to be disciplined with? What do you need to be committed to in order to have that reality that you want, and really plant those seeds so that it builds over the next 6 months. Um, and yeah, that's the week ahead for you, Leo. Let me know how it resonates. I'll see you next week. All right, Virgo Rising. We started the week off the moon in your 11th house. Um, this could be you really seeking out community. You're really seeking out support from the people around you. And maybe that's taking space away from social media. That's been coming through for everybody, to have that real world support of connection. It really feels like a big theme of the first couple days of the week for you as the moon moves through your 11th house, especially on Tuesday as it moves over Jupiter in your 11th house. We also have Mars opposite Chiron in your second and eighth houses. This is a culmination and kind of tension being put on you to change something about money, to change something about your resources, your finances. Maybe this is a big level up in your finances and you're kind of having to restructure things, or kind of rebudget because there's been an influx, or there's been a positive change, and you're like, wait, how do I need to actually be like a little bit more structured with how I deal with all of this, and a little bit more, what's that word, like intentional, or just, yeah, I guess intentional is the word I'm looking for. There's a need to be more intentional with what you do with your money and how you either invest it or spend it or save it or whatever. There's like this need to kind of maybe talk with AI or talk with Chat GPT about how to like budget, something like that. And it really is going to trigger this healing of a wound in you, around, I think, feeling supported, feeling enough to receive. Big subconscious themes of just realizing your worth and realizing your value, as we're going to have Venus also harmonizing with Mars and with Chiron on this day too in your 12th house. So it's like this illumination of maybe ways you've been going about life and doing what you do that haven't been in alignment with your true worthiness or your true value, and you're realizing that and making the adjustments as necessary. um as we head into Wednesday, the moon moves into Leo, into your 12th house. This could be a further amplification of everything I just talked about, as it is going to oppose Pluto in your 6th. There could be some change in your work because of this, of what you're doing on a daily basis because of this, of maybe you're doing a cleanse or something, and it's really bringing up a lot of emotional stuff you didn't expect it to, but it does feel like it's bringing harmony to your career and it's bringing harmony to your money, even if there's uncomfortable stuff to sift through to have those positive benefits. As we get into Thursday, Mercury moves into your 2nd house. Venus is about to move into your 1st. Mercury in your 2nd house is like there's more conversations about money, maybe within your relationships as well. Maybe if you're in a partnership, it's having those kind of open dialogue about, okay, how do we handle our money? What is like our money versus what's mine and what's yours, that kind of thing. Um, yeah, it's kind of like you're just having more conversations about money. I don't know what to say about Mercury in the second house for you, because that's really what the majority of it feels like your mind, that music quote, that song lyric is coming through like money on my mind. Like I just feel like you're gonna be really focused on your finances mentally. As we get into Friday, the moon moves over Venus in your 12th house. There could be again more realization emotionally of what needs to be let go of, what you need to purge in order to have this kind of renewal of your value, of your worthiness, of like you knowing that you are enough as you are right now, and you always will be. As we get into the weekend, Friday, Venus moves into Virgo and you're to your first house. This is a really good time for you just feeling that renewal of your value, of your worth. But it is going to challenge Uranus in your 10th house, so there maybe could be some challenges or conflicts within your career that kind of bring that up or propel you into that evolution. On Saturday as well, the moon moves over the south node in Virgo. There could be this emotional purge of a sense of self or an identity maybe you've been clinging on to that you realize you no longer need or want, especially as we get into the new moon eclipse in your first house on Sunday. Big theme there is what needs to change about your identity, your sense of self. Uh, what needs to be purged, or if you have already done this purge as we are ramping up for the actual eclipse, what new intentions do you want to set? What new things do you want to embody, have as part of your identity, your sense of self? And what about your relationships too needs discipline or commitment in a new way in order to have that? There's kind of this tension between you and your relationships. Um, and eclipses bring change. So what needs to change in order to kind of resolve that tension or have better balancing act with it? So that's the week ahead for you, Virgo. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Okay, Libra Rising, we start the week off with the moon in your 10th house. There could be a big emotional focus on your career, on your public image, your reputation. There could be some sort of kind of veil or illusion, maybe manipulation from somebody or others in your life around that too that may be challenging your career in some way. But I feel like as we get into Tuesday, there could be some emotional, just kind of illumination or amplification of your drive in your career and like what you're doing and what you're sharing, how you're putting yourself out there to the world. You could be launching something or having more of a presence, wanting to be more known for something that you're choosing to really step into at this time. Also on Tuesday, we have Mars opposite Chiron in your seventh. So there could be this tension, this tug of war between wounds, triggers within relationships from other people and yourself. Um, and what action are you taking from yourself to yourself? There could also be this need to maybe step back from relationships in certain ways in order to focus more on yourself and maybe even on your money as Mars is about to move into your second house. There could be this realization of like, oh, I've been acting actually from this wound of needing to prove myself in relationships or something like that. And you're waking up to that and realizing I don't want to perpetuate that anymore. Um, as Venus is also going to be harmonizing with Chiron and Mars in your 11th house. There could also be a kind of renewal in your community of values, um, based around what you're doing to bring you more joy. As we get into Wednesday, the moon moves into Leo, into your 11th house, opposite Pluto in your fifth. There could be this emotional tension on some sort of transformation within your dating or your creative passions. But as the moon puts tension on Pluto, it also kind of brings this opportunity to do something differently in order to have balance between maybe what has felt like there's tension in. You also have this harmony with Uranus and Pluto, um, in your fifth and ninth houses. So there's this tension kind of creates a perspective shift or maybe creates new creative ideas that you are learning you want to do or talk about or say, create. It's like almost this new passion is emerging, or um, you're really shifting the way you're seeing life, and it's kind of shifting what you're doing in life, and maybe giving you these ideas to act on things you never really thought you would do before or could do. As we get into Thursday, Mercury moves into your first house. Mercury leaving your 12th house is going to be good for your mindset, although I do think there's going to maybe be some tension around what's going on with your relationships, maybe gaslighting or people just being a little bit delusional. And then like your own communication, there is tension there as Mercury first moves through Libra. That's only going to last a couple days. But Mercury will also be harmonizing with Uranus and Pluto. So again, you're really encouraged to like be speaking out about what has changed in your perspective, what has changed in your creative passion, or what you want to share creatively, or maybe dating as well as it relates to that. There's this kind of renewal of your voice, of sharing yourself, and maybe ways that you've held back from or are emerging that you want to do. As we get into Friday, the moon moves into your 12th house, so does Venus. As they move into Virgo, they're going to square Uranus. So there could be, again, this kind of emotional purge around outdated values or a sense of worthiness related to your perspective of life and how you're communicating yourself from that place that maybe is not how you want to go about things anymore. It's really this big subconscious purge happening for you, Libra. Like you're becoming a different person. Um, Even if because you're living it day to day, you don't really see the contrast. Like you look back on old videos of yourself or whatever, and you really see the contrast. Like you're becoming somebody new because of this subconscious purge. It's going to be amplified on Saturday. As the moon moves over the south node, there could be an emotional purge that happens because of this. And then we get into Sunday, the new moon eclipse in Virgo is going to be in your 12th house, opposite Saturn in your 6th. This is setting intentions for that new you that's emerging. There could be this very sudden awareness too of like who's for you and who's not. And again, like a purge that needs to happen in order to be aligned with the new beginning and the new chapter that you are moving into. So that's what we got for you, Libra. Let me know how that resonates. I'll see you next week. All right, Scorpio Rising. We start the week off with the moon in your 9th house. The moon in your 9th house is this emotional focus on your perspective. Maybe things you need to like dive deeper into, research, learn about, in order to have a better understanding of certain things. Maybe that's intuitive stuff or self-care practices. Yeah, there's a lot changing about your perspective and just how you view life, especially as the moon moves over Jupiter on Tuesday in your 9th. Gonna challenge Chiron in your 6th and Mars in your 12th. So again, there could be this really big purge of just how you're viewing life due to that. You might really be changing up your day to day because of that. As we get into Wednesday, moon moves into your 10th, opposite Pluto. In your 4th, there could be some tension between your career and your home life. But it feels like what really is the focus is on your joy. What do you want to do more of? How can you make more time for it? There's just been such career momentum for you, Scorpio. Something changing about it or just feeling more aligned with it. And that's really going to be the focus of the middle of the week as the moon moves through your 10th house. And when is that going to be? On Thursday into Friday. It's going to harmonize with Chiron in your 6th. There could be this kind of healing of a wound, maybe related to your physical health. Also on Thursday, Mercury is going to move into your 12th, into Libra. Going to be opposite Neptune. This could feel like a foggy, spacey day. You might extend your meditation time or something in order to really look at some subconscious thing that's coming up. Did I already talk about Moon on Venus in your 10th? I feel like that's going to be really good for just putting your energy towards this career thing or whatever you're focused on in your career, public image, reputation. Maybe that's your appearance. Like the 10th house is also how you show up in the world, like when you're out and about in the world. So there might be some change in your makeup routine or your how you dress. As we get into Friday, both the moon and Venus move into Virgo and challenge Uranus in your eighth. There could be conflict between what you want to do moving forward with your life and the resources to be able to do that. There might be some kind of emotional realization around all of that, or maybe something you need to change, or maybe you need to raise your prices or figure out a second stream of income or something to do what you want to do. As we get into Saturday, there could be an emotional purge around that as the moon moves over south node. Um, but it's all of this is supporting you and moving in the direction you're headed with whatever your creative passions or projects are that you are realizing you need to really discipline yourself with and commit to. Saturn back in your fifth house is giving you the opportunity to do that, especially as it's going to be a part of this new moon eclipse we have on Sunday. There's this realization of, okay, what seeds do I need to plant to have this long-term vision that I really want, that I'm moving towards, and make it happen over the next 6 months? What do you need to be disciplined with in order to have it come to fruition? That's the new moon eclipse for you, Scorpio. So let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. All right, Sagittarius rising. We start the week off with the moon in your eighth house. Um, could be an emotional focus on your resources, on money, maybe your inner world as well. Um, there's tension between your dating life or your creative stuff, wounds around your creative stuff, maybe identity wounds of like being starving artist mentality or something like that. And what actions you're taking towards your long-term goals and visions, or maybe creating a sense of community or having a presence on social media. There's tension between those two things, like your wounds and what you're doing. Or maybe what you're doing is triggering you, or vice versa. Like triggers are kind of propelling you into movement, propelling you into action. Um, it could feel like there's a lot of tension around that, especially on Tuesday as we have the moon move over Jupiter, challenging both Mars and Chiron. But it does feel like the release of that is through your money, through your finances, maybe structuring it in a different way, re-budgeting, or really, things have increased in price so much in the last couple of years. It's like maybe you're realizing the budget you had created a few years ago is no longer resonant, and you're like, okay, what do I actually want for a budget? What do I want to spend? What do I want to save? Where do I want it to go? What do I want that to look like? What more money do I want to call in? Whatever it is. It's getting more clarity on the structures around your finances on Tuesday, because you got to put the focus somewhere. It feels like there's like emotional chaos in other areas, and it's like don't get too focused on that. Don't get too swept up by that. Um, kind of channel that energy into something that's going to be productive and helpful for you. Wednesday, the moon is into Leo in your ninth house, opposite Pluto in your third. There could be a sudden emotional shift within your perspective of life. There's this, this kind of keeps coming up for everybody, but it's in a sense, it's like, what do you need to release about the like logisticals? And Virgo season always has everybody in their heads, overthinking things. So there's almost this release of that on Wednesday where it's like, oh, I just need to stop thinking about it so much and just do more and figure it out as I go, instead of thinking I need to have it figured all out before I do. Like you do and then you figure it out, not the opposite. And there might be a realization around that Wednesday, from some sort of tension. Thursday, Mercury moves into your 11th house. It's going to be opposite Neptune. Might feel a little spacey, with your community or with creative things. But there might also be like messages coming through your dreams, about those things. You might also be feeling more creative because of this, even if you can't pinpoint why, or I don't know, things feel off, dreamy maybe even, but it is giving you this kind of fuel creatively. Also Thursday, Moon moves over Venus before it moves into Virgo, before they both move into Virgo. Um, Moon on Venus in your ninth house is kind of, again, more of a realization around perspective shift that you need to have, maybe related to what came up earlier in the week, that wound or that trigger on your creative stuff or dating, is supported in some sort of emotional realization on Thursday. Friday, like I said, Venus and Moon both move into Virgo. Challenge Uranus in your seventh. There could be something calling you to career, or there could be this emotional drive or focus on your career to do something differently there. But there's also, like, it kind of creates challenges within your relationships, or stirs the pot of some chaos that was already brewing there. But I do feel like you have such support through relationships as well, despite that, because Mercury, Uranus, and Pluto are all in a grand trine. Um, it's really this mental clarity that comes through challenging chaos. That sounds wild to say, but that's the energy. Saturday, Moon moves over your south node. There could be this emotional release related to your career or reputation. That's where we're going to have the new Moon Eclipse in Virgo for you as your 10th house, opposite Saturn in your fourth. There may be something you're learning you need to commit yourself to or be disciplined with in your fourth house, or if you have been disciplined to spiritual practices, let's say, they are creating positive results and giving you the clarity you need to have a new chapter, a whole new chapter and beginning in your career and what you are wanting to build there. Maybe just got clarity around that you want to create or build there. And that's the week ahead for you, Sagittarius. Let me know how it resonates. I'll see you next week. Capricorn Rising. Moon is in your seventh house, start of the week. Big emotional focus on your relationships. You might be spending time with people, or just meeting great people out and about in the world that really feels like the support you need at this time, especially on Tuesday. You might feel like there might be a serendipitous meeting of somebody, but it could come at a challenge or a conflict to what's going on in your career and your home. There's a lot of kind of wounds, triggers that have been coming up in your home, and especially right now with all these transits bringing them to the surface. But I do feel like it's this inner purge that's needed, and you're realizing more about your self-worth and your value through that, and having some sort of, like, really deep transformation because of it. As we get into Wednesday, the moon moves into your eighth house opposite Pluto in your second. There could be a positive shift in your money because of all of that, but it also could at first feel like it adds tension in some way. Like, maybe a bunch of money comes in and you're like, okay, but I have debt. I need to pay for this. I need to pay for that. Like, how do I structure all this money? Or how do I organize all of this? How do I prioritize where it goes? And it's kind of like, just, the most pressing, um, the most pressing is what to focus on first. And what you just can't put off anymore, it feels like. And that's a great problem to have. Even if it could feel like not super fun to deal with in the moment. Um, there is a lot of harmony for you right now, Capricorn, between your money and between what you're doing for work. And I think Mercury moving into your 10th house that we have happening on Thursday is going to give you more mental clarity around that change to bring in more money, or to just feel more aligned with what you're doing for work or your career, or your, like, what you're putting out into the world to be known for. Um, there's also on Thursday this emotional kind of renewal with your values, with your finances, around some sort of psychological transformation you've been in with self-worth, values, finances, relationships, and maybe just approaching it from a different, the South Node's in your ninth house, so you're really learning how to release some old perspective of life and see things from a more, like, joyous, kind of miraculous lens. Like, an example of this, if you didn't watch the first part of the video, I was saying I spilled something on my laptop. Could be toast. We don't know. I'm on my laptop right now, and it needs a new keyboard. It definitely does, but it's still working, thank God. And although that was challenging, the people were such angels that I dealt with to help me with it and that was such a blessing. That's like this energy. It's like there's some sort of, challenge and tension and chaos, but there's miracles that are coming from it, while you're in it. As we get into Friday, the moon moves over Venus, in your ninth house, challenges Uranus in your sixth. Again, there could be something that's changing about your work or your day-to-day routine or health, that is kind of challenging you to shift your perspective of life, especially as it relates to your emotional drive around like finances, relationships, and your sense of worthiness. Big theme, it seems like for a lot of people, um, is this inner sense of worthiness and of being enough and of feeling like you have value just for being. As we get into Saturday, the moon moves over your south node. There could be an emotional release related to that, and this big, really perspective shift related to that. Kind of this fog maybe lifting from your mind. Um, and an illumination of maybe what practice or affirmation you need to commit yourself to further support that change. Also going to be a big theme of the new moon eclipse on Sunday. That's going to be opposite Saturn in your ninth house. There's this big renewal through a purge. There's a renewal of your view of life, um, and the energy for a really grand, brand new beginning there. So that's what we had for you, Capricorn. Let me know how it resonates in the comments. I'll see you next week. Okay, Aquarius Rising. The moon is in your sixth house early in the week, moving through Cancer. Emotional focus is going to be on your health, your work, maybe realizing some people you thought supported you don't. The sixth house is hidden enemies after all. As the moon moves over Jupiter on Tuesday, there could be further realization of that maybe challenges your day to day, maybe challenges your perspective as well. But I think it's going to be helpful for you to kind of cultivate an inner sense of security, cultivate an inner sense of support, and validation. We can get validation from ChatGPT these days. So it's really not beneficial to get it from people who aren't meant to be in your life when we can get it from ourselves and robots. um Also, though, this has just been such a freaking theme all month. There's challenges, there's conflict, but there's harmony. So there could be something, that comes about from whatever this is on Tuesday in your work or your day to day that helps you with money somehow. Maybe it's a new idea, or you have something that really like challenges you, and you're like, oh, it kind of helps you to see something differently, or it's like a light bulb moment, like a breakthrough after the breakdown. As we get into Wednesday, the moon moves into your seventh house. There could be an emotional transformation with your relationships, or like through your relationships that helps and supports you in some sort of transformation, as the moon will be opposite Pluto early on Wednesday. The moon's also gonna be harmonizing with Neptune. So this maybe not doesn't feel clear to you in the moment, but as we get later into the day, there is this kind of, again, more like this aha moment around whatever this is. Big theme too for you, Aquarius, of watching your mindset with money or with resources. On Thursday, the moon's going to move over Venus, harmonize with Chiron in your third. Mercury moves into your ninth house. So there's really this mental focus on your perspective of life, on maybe learning, on education too, or maybe sharing your ideas and starting to share more about your opinions and things that maybe you have kept hidden. But there could also be this mental fogginess, but it's creating this heightened intuition. Um, there might be somebody in your life as well that kind of you meet or that comes back into your life that kind of helps you with this shift on Thursday. As we get into Friday, the moon and Venus move into your eighth house, challenge Uranus in your fifth. There could be some emotional chaos with your finances or with like your resources if you're married or in a relationship or you share resources. There could be some kind of emotional chaos with that, maybe related to a creative passion or project as well. Um, but it's almost like you really are learning to speak your piece more. If you've like hidden yourself, you're coming out of your shell. You're really breaking free from like the way you've had yourself boxed into something. And this, whatever is challenging on Friday, is going to show that to you and going to be an opportunity for you to really step into that. As we get into Saturday, there could be an emotional purge um, at a subconscious level or a psychological level, because the moon's going to move over the south node in your eighth house. But it could propel some insights or downloads of things you want to do moving forward with money, or maybe trusting in your process to create money more and be supported by money in the ways that you need. The new moon eclipse on Sunday is going to be in your eighth house, so it's kind of like what intentions, major change are you setting around your finances? What do you need to be disciplined with and committed to as it relates to your creative passions or projects or pursuits? Maybe spiritually related as well. Um, to have this new beginning and to feel more supported in the direction you're headed and the changes you're making. That's the week ahead for you, Aquarius. Let me know how it resonates. I'll see you next week. All right, Pisces rising. Moon is in your fifth house. I feel like the kind of first couple days of the week, you might be feeling more creative. You might be, um, whatever you do that is creative, because it's something. You're Pisces rising. You might be feeling that inspiration. Um, Early in the week, but especially on Tuesday, but also on Tuesday, there could be challenges between that and money in some way. Um, maybe wounds or triggers that are there about resources, about money, um, that kind of propels you to look at things differently. And it's like you might be tested, um, to really be embodied in the identity that you've stepped into, the identity that you've been cultivating. It's an opportunity to really be committed to that and not fall back into the old version of you when things get uncomfortable. As we get into Wednesday, the moon moves into Leo in your sixth house, opposite Pluto in your 12th. Again, kind of furthers that message of there's this subconscious transformation happening. Um, and that's really the biggest theme for you this week, Pisces, is it's all really kind of showing you what needs to change about your inner world, and how that's kind of affecting everything else. Especially on Thursdays, we're going to have the moon move over Venus in your sixth. It's going to harmonize with Chiron in your second and harmonize with Mars in your eighth. Um, there's this big emotional need to kind of heal the wound and heal it through action, heal it through like embodiment, um, and not fall back into, again, old versions of yourself just because you're triggered. It's handling it differently than you would have before, and that healing you and actually changing your circumstances. As we get into Friday, the moon and Venus move into your seventh, into Virgo. They challenge Uranus in your fourth. There could be, Mercury's in your eighth now, so there's kind of this mental transformation occurring, and on Friday, it could come through some sort of challenging emotional thing you have with somebody in your life, and what's going on in your home or your family. Um, Again, it just kind of feels like more triggering stuff on Friday, but again, it's like don't focus on the challenges, focus on what good is coming from it. Like if you heard me talk about how I had to take my laptop to get repaired, and I had to stay in the town I was going to be in longer because of that. And at first I was like, well, shit, this kind of sucks. like I wanted to go somewhere else, but now I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I got to stay here longer because I got to experience this place more. And it has opened my eyes to seeing this town differently than I had if I had just left when I originally wanted to. You know, it's like that energy where it's just flow with it and see the positives of it, even if it seems challenging or it is challenging to deal with in the moment. There are miracles occurring because of it. We're really being divinely guided and directed right now. As we get into the weekend, Saturday, the moon moves over the south node in your seventh house. There could be an emotional purge around a relationship or of somebody physically in your life. Could also be something of a theme for the new moon eclipse for you, as it's going to be in your seventh house. There could be this energy of like, okay, I keep attracting this certain type of person because I haven't really integrated what needs to change about me or what needs to change about how I'm presenting myself. Or, you know, again, there's this need to commit yourself to some sort of new identity, new sense of self. And the new moon is going to put tension on that so that you really have a positive change in your relationships due to you literally changing. And you attract different in your life because of that. And that's going to be the intentions that you set with this new moon, and that kind of cultivate over the next 6 months. So that's the week ahead for you, Pisces. Let me know how it resonates. I'll see you next week. Man, my face looks so different in the dark. Oh, the comments are blowing up. Perhaps perhaps closer to Fort Collins, yeah. Also, I meant to say this at the beginning and I just got on a tangent and I forgot. Can y'all see that I can get super chats now? I got monetized on YouTube. I'm so excited about it. I don't think I've like officially announced that yet. Okay, what else are y'all talking about? What else y'all talking about? Can you do Scorpio Rising next? I do them in zodiacal order. So if you missed it, I have to manually get the times for each rising sign. Should be posted within the next like 15 minutes after I get off here. I'm an Aquarius Rising and Leo Moon. This week the moon goes through Leo. Yeah. Yes. When I have my lunar return, I mean, it happens every 28 days, so, you know, and it's always different because there's different transits going on that influence it differently, but I would just kind of refer back to that. I usually just feel, um, I wouldn't say more emotionally intense. I personally feel like more emotionally renewed, but it only lasts for a few hours, so it's really not that big of a deal. Um, and like I said, it happens every month, so best to kind of just be aware of when it happens like once a month, what's going on, and um how that could show up the next time it happens. That's why reflectors are really meant to track the lunar cycles of the moon because it's the most consistent cycling thing. Like the moon cycles through the zodiac every 12 or every 28 days. So that's why the authority for reflectors and human design is lunar because it is the most consistent thing transiting all the gates. Yeah, you're welcome, Masha. Okay, y'all come join my inner circle membership. I would love to see you in there and just have live interaction with y'all. Last week's was amazing. It was so fun. So come join. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.